Hi, I'm Matt from Interformula, and welcome to our Research and Development Centre. We do all forms of research and development, all the way from designing and developing our own race cars, to simulators, to running cars in racing series and rallying all over the world. We also do a lot in the Asian Classic Car Championship, so do look out for us. For any information, do contact us with the number down below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to the Impact GT3 Series. We're coming at you live from Suzuka, the Suzuka International Racing Course, a legendary track in Japan. It's been open since the 60s and it's remained remarkably unchanged. The only changes being at Degna and at Impact. My name is Matthew Palmer, and with me in the studio as well as our director, Meryl Allen. We're going to have a spectacular race around this legendary circuit. The weather is looking fairly chilly, but otherwise quite fine in the temperatures, around 18 to 23 degrees Celsius, with a good track condition. So it's looking like it's going to be a very fun race. Now, as we see Aguri Young begin his qualifying lap, let's have a look at the course now. We come into turn 1, very difficult braking zone coming through here before we get into the S's. Very hard place to try and overtake it, and really managing to get through with a little help from Shanghai's on there. Going through the first of the 4-5 corners that make up the S's here. It's very critical to get the throttle application, the braking and the racing line absolutely perfect in order to carry speed through here. Even in a Formula 1 car, you do have to drive the car and control the speed of the car very accurately indeed. Now going through Dunlop curve, very tricky, very deceptive. Try to get through there as quickly as possible. Now diving into Degna 1 and Degna 2, very tricky braking zone up ahead here. That is the inspiration for turns 7 and 8 and Saban. However, it's a little bit of a shape now. Coming up to the hairpin here, it's a hard right-hander before putting into this left-handed hairpin. Very tricky, very difficult to get on the throttle coming out of it. And now it's to run up to Spoon Curve, one of the hardest corners of the track. You're flat out tilting right all the way through the track here, coming into the braking zone. And we just about hit the braking marks right about here before turning into the first part of Spoon, and it's a very tricky corner geometrically speaking. The radius opens up and tightens up all the way through the corner. You really have to pick the exact right racing line there, but it's a very interesting place to try and get go for an overtake. Now through the most fierce and the bravest of the corners, 130R. Let's see how fast Aguri can go through there. Very quick indeed. You need a very positive front end to try and get the car working through there. Now coming into the braking zone here, into the Casio Triangle, it's critical for you to get a good exit coming out of the Casio Triangle in order to keep the lap on a high. Now coming around the outside of the final corner and under the famous Suzuka circuit bridge, let's see what time Aguri Young has managed to do. It's a 2 minute and 2 minute 0.02 second lap. So 2 minute lap there, very quick time indeed. Now the fastest guys are expected to do a 159 or a 158. Of course, there's the big question mark. He'll have buddies in the server tonight. Let's see if he chooses to go for master first, or is he going to try and go for a qualifying lap. While we're running on board with Shanghai there in the BMW, you can see a very different racing line needed to make the BMW work around here in comparison to the mid-engine cars like Aguri Young's. Aguri Young was in the BMW as well, but still a very different racing line between the BMW and the Mercedes going through that section there.
Hi Nikki, sorry for the music technical part. We fixed that.
All right, thanks for letting us know, Nikki, and thanks for joining us on the stream. And if you guys have any comments or questions or suggestions, do leave them down there in the comment section down below. I'll try to read them out as we go through this session. But also, whilst you're there, do hit that like button, share, And subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as like our Facebook page, and share that sim racing love around a little bit, and just let your friends know that we're going to be broadcasting a very exciting race tonight. So thanks a lot, Nikki. Meanwhile, as we go underneath the Panasonic bridge on the way out, let's see how Shabe Aizat does the 130R. 6 minutes have passed in the 15-minute qualifying session so far. Aguri Young is still in provisional pole position. Andy So also very quick as well. Both drivers are from the SRA community, and I believe both drivers are in fact from Hong Kong. So a very international grid we have this evening. Fantastic to see all of our friends from around Asia competing in this race. So far we have Afik Fadlan just done a 2:02. He has failed to improve on his lap time there. Jasri Junos has just come across the line. He comes in at 2:03.297. So that's remarkably quick, considering that Jasri Junos is currently driving the roof. So that's a very old GT3 car, almost ancient in some respects, but it can go quite quickly, and Jasri's very, very quick in that rough Porsche. Tuku Ershad, meanwhile, he's going to come across the line. Let's see what he can do. He gets it up to third place with a 2 minute 0.5 second lap. Meanwhile, we're on board with Ryan Lam, who's now currently heading towards the final part of the session there. Andy So has managed to get provisional pole position. He's gone underneath the 2 minute marker, 1:59.743, a very quick lap time there from Andy, so that puts him into provisional pole position. Now let's see what Ryan Lam can do coming across the line here, and it looks like he manages to go fourth, a 2 minute 0.979 second there. Javier Alvarez goes fifth fastest with a 2:01.011, a very binary lap time. And now we witness Afik Fadlan in the Petronas liveried Mercedes as he thunders down the back straight past the East Circuit pits. Coming into the 130R again, a very different line, lots of curb there for Afik Fadlan. He's very aggressive on the turn in. That helps this car a lot in terms of trying to keep the car stable as it heads towards the apex there. Now coming out of the Casio triangle and on the way to the finish line there. Let's have a look through the finish line. It looks like Saiful Arifin manages to go third fastest while we were looking, but Afik Fadlan goes seventh fastest at a 2:01.591. But Saiful Arifin now currently in third position with a 2 minute 0.4 second lap time. Meanwhile, this is Umar Aziz, a newcomer to the Adrenaline Impact races, but he's doing very well for himself. He's actually been sim racing for quite a bit, but he's making a comeback after a bit of a hiatus, and he's done very well in the previous GT3 races. So let's see what he can do going through the high-speed final sector here. They're coming into the braking zone there. You really use the bridge, the Advan bridge, as a sort of a braking marker, whether you brake before or after that. Depends on how well your car does under braking. They're very pinpoint accurate going through that chicane there. And as we just note that Shaul Rajab goes 13th fastest, let's see what Umar Aziz is able to do. He goes 7th with a 2:01.427, but he's just been knocked down a couple of places there to 8th. And it looks like Ryan Lam has gone up into 2nd place with a 1:59.863. So that's 2 cars underneath the 2 minute mark. Jasri Jali now is up next, coming across the line here. Let's see what he can pull off. And it's a 2:04.670. We know he could go faster. He was under 2 minutes in practice, so let's see if he's able to improve on that. 10 minutes have passed, and so far Andy So is on provisional pole position with Ryan Lam in 2nd place, Aguri Young in 3rd, Saiful Arifin in 4th, followed by Tunku Ershad, Fred Ting, Javier Alvarez, Umar Aziz, Afik Fadlan and Malvindajit Singh in 10th place, with Sharel Norafuddin, Jasri Junos, Calvin Ha, Jasmine Jelly and Shawal Rajab rounding out the top 15 at this moment. But right now we're on board with Ilham Halabi. Let's see if he chooses to complete a lap. He's been doing a lot of these last to first challenges. It's almost been a hallmark of his in the GT3 challenge. It'd be very interesting to see if he decides to go for that lap time. See if he can qualify and perhaps give the Hong Kong challengers a bit of a run for their money. Beautiful, sweet sounding Audi there. It goes through 130R, coming underneath the Advan Bridge. Again, that's the braking marker for a lot of these drivers. Again, very, very smooth through there. Let's see if he decides to go for it.
He slowed down there.
That
was intentional.
Oh yes, indeed. It looks like he might... Well, he will finish the lap, but he won't be as quick as he would normally be. Very, very interesting. He might be going for that last to first challenge yet again. Meanwhile, Jasmine Jelly, he perhaps won't be going for that last to first challenge. He's down in 14th place. He'll want to improve on that, I am sure. Pushing that almost iconic Petronas BMW Z4 that he's been racing for all these years. He's going to come across the line. Let's see what he can do in terms of lap time. Unfortunately, not able to improve by that much. 204.113. It looks like he may have been caught up in a little bit of traffic there. There's only about 2.5 minutes left in qualifying, so a lot of these drivers will be pushing very hard indeed. Ooh, Cypher Arifit getting a little bit sideways going into Casio Triangle. A lot of rotation, as they say in these cars there. Coming across the line, let's see what he can do. And it's a 159.794, so Cypher Arifit goes into second place, not quite knocking off Andy So off the top spot there, but he manages to get the car up into second. Nicky Lim there saying go go Pingu. Shahril Norafuddin's nickname there. He will be pushing very hard, I'm sure. Meanwhile, we're on board with Sameh Aizan going underneath the bridge there. Ooh, just about locks it up a little bit. Has to straighten the car out just to make sure he's got enough grip to turn the car into the corner there. But now he's clear of the Casio Triangle. Coming across the line, let's see what his lap time is. It's a 2:09. That puts him up into 7th position, just ahead of Javier Alvarez. Jaswid Jali now again going for another attempt at a good lap time. He's improved on his personal best in the first 3 sectors. He's dropped a little bit of time in the middle sector there, but it looks like he could be able to do something on the way through to the final part of the lap there. He's definitely on for a improvement in lap time, but how far up the field will he go? Mukhtar Awaluddin. This game is iRacing, and do check it out on Steam or on the iRacing.com website. It's a fantastic place to get introduced into serious high-end sim racing, but it's also a great place for beginners to try their hands out. Very, very accurate simulation with real-world motorsports rules and regulations. Definitely worth a shot. Hopefully we'll be able to see you out there in the virtual race car very, very shortly. But we are on iRacing at the moment. Fantastic stuff here as we pound around Suzuka circuit. Very, very realistic stuff indeed. Ooh, Teguh Irshad gets sideways going through Spoon Curve there, and that's going to slow down quite a few drivers there. He's waiting for a good opportunity to rejoin the track there. But that means Sameh Aizan might have been slowed down just a little bit. Let's see what that does to his lap time. A real pity there, because Teguh Irshad was on a very quick lap there, but unfortunately he'll have to try and do that again. But he won't be able to because the checkered flag is out. So the drivers will not be able to start a qualifying time, but they will be able to finish the qualifying lap that they're on right now. So let's see what Sameh Aizan can do. Very sideways coming out of the final corner there, on the limit. Motoring there, coming across the line, and that's 7th for Sameh Aizan, a 201.433. Unfortunately, that big sideways moment cost him a lot of time there. Movinderjit Singh is another driver who's gone off. Big spin there coming into that Degna curve section there. They're really pushing very hard indeed. Izudi Fahmi is a new driver to the Adrenaline Impact fold. And we're very happy to see him out there on track, pushing very hard indeed in that rather classic livery Ferrari, coming across the line there. Let's see what he could do. 203.346, that puts him up to 17th place.
Oh, we got a late entry here.
And that's Muhammad Muhaimin. Will he be able to do anything there? I'm not too sure if he managed to start his lap time just quite yet, but he will be able to at least finish this lap as a bit of a practice there. But that would be very interesting indeed. Now, of course, in the SRE group, I did catch wind that a couple of the drivers were away from sim as the hour slowly approached. It looks like Muhammad just managed to get back in time there. So glad to have him on board. Unfortunately, he has not been able to do a quick qualifying lap. I'm not too sure if he'll be able to finish this one, but it looks like it has started for him. So let's see if he can finish it. It's a race against the clock in more ways than one there for Muhaimin. We're all rooting for him to try and finish the lap here. Let's see if the computer will let him finish this lap. He's going fairly quickly through the first couple of sectors there, I must say. He could be on for a top 10 lap, which would be very impressive indeed, considering he has not done any practice in the preceding hour. Coming up to the hairpin there, he's really pushing the car very hard indeed. He is running the time just a little bit late there, but he's going to give it all. He's now halfway through the lap here with only Spoon, the East Circuit stretch, 130R and the Casio Triangle to go. He's going to go through Spoon here. Now on to the back straight. He has to get the power down just right here, because he has to, remember ladies and gentlemen, he has to worry about trying to push the car as fast as he can. He has to worry about getting that perfect lap time as well as trying to get to the end of the lap before the session time runs out. We're in overtime right now, and this is perfect overtime action. He's flat out there almost through 130R. Well, he's pushing it very hard indeed. Hard on the brakes there, just about manages to pitch it in. Unfortunately, it looks like he's unable to finish the lap. So close.
Ilham was just behind him.
Well, that's very unfortunate there for Muhammad Huai. He almost made it. But in any case, this is the grid for the Adrenaline Impact GT3 Series here at Suzuka. Andy So is on pole position from Hong Kong with a 159.743. He's on pole position. Saiful Arifin is in second place on the front row there. It's 0.051 behind. Very close indeed for the Malaysian, right behind the Hong Kong driver. The third man on the grid is also from Hong Kong. Ryan Lam is in third place, and Aguri Yong is in fourth, also from Hong Kong. Tengku Ershad is fifth from Malaysia, and Fred Ting from Brunei in sixth place. Shabir Aizan is seventh, and Javier Alvarez from Spain is in eighth place, followed by Umar Aziz in ninth, Afiq Fadlan in 10th place, Malvinderjit Singh in 11th, and Sharon Norufudin in 12th place. A very, very international top 10. Jasri Jali is in 13th position, followed by Ilham Halabi, Jasri Junus, Calvin Ha, Izudi Fahmi, and Shawal Rajab there in 18th place, with Muhammad Muhaimin in 19th place, and Surin Selvaraju rounding out the grid. This is going to be a very interesting race indeed. Rolling start. As Ryan Lam there. I'll let you find... ooh, he's crashed the desktop. That's going to be a very... oh dear. Well, that's very unfortunate. We appear to have lost our third place man on the grid. That's very unfortunate there for Ryan Lam. Well, that's going to be... it's going to be very unfortunate for you. We do feel very sorry for you, Ryan, for crashing to desktop there. That's one of the worst things that can happen to a sim racer, especially when you're gridding up from a race. Fantastic qualifying result there, so we'll have to definitely rue what should have been a very exciting start to the race. So, like Ryan Lam there saying, never mind, have fun, guys. Hopefully you'll join us for the next race, Ryan. We would definitely miss you from the grid. But meanwhile, Andy So is still on pole position. Saiful Arifin is currently in second place now, thanks to, unfortunately, to that little dropout there. Tengku Ershad is in third, Aguri Yong is in fourth, Shamir in fifth, Ting in sixth, as the cars begin to line up behind the Porsche 911 safety car that does its characteristic last minute turn into the pits, and now Andy So goes for it. Let's see if the lights come on. Yes, the lights are on, and they're going to go out as soon as Andy So gets clear of the grid. It looks like the race has started. Coming into the first corner there, Andy So has a big lead there from the rest of the drivers there, but it looks like one of the 1XOX cars have really dropped down quite a bit there. Saiful Arifin looks like he's lost quite a few spots there. He was up in third, now he's dropped down to 5th place. Meanwhile, Andy So leads. Aguri Young manages to get himself up into 2nd place, but Tuku Ershad is in 3rd. But Saiful Arifin, it looks like Shami Aizan looks like he has a big problem there. He had to pull right off the racing line. He's off into the gravel. It looks like he has a bit of a problem with the car there. That might have been either contact or perhaps a bit of overheating, or perhaps the tires were too cold, in fact. Very difficult stuff indeed there from him. Omar Aziz, meanwhile, he's up into 5th place and really challenging the leaders at the moment. Only 0.2 of a second behind Saiful Arifin. Saiful is a very quick driver indeed, a lot of experience behind that monitor right there, ladies and gentlemen. Omar Aziz really pushing the car very hard indeed, trying to catch up with the car up ahead. Meanwhile, he's also got to worry about the car behind him. Fred Ting and Javier Alvarez are really going at it hammer and tongs behind this battle. There's battles all up and down through the leaderboard there. We're riding on board with Javier Alvarez as to go through Spoon Curve. Very difficult, especially on cold tyres. Let's see who can get the drive out of the corner there. And it looks like it's just about even at this moment. But meanwhile, there's more action to come further behind there. Shara really having some problems there, further back behind the field there. But so far, Andy So is your leader in the race there. Meanwhile, Ilham Hlabi is witnessing the battle up ahead. Jazrin managing to overtake Malvinderjit Singh, going through 130R. Spectacular racing all the way through there. Ilham really pushing the car very hard, trying to get his way up through the field. Remember, he started very far back in the grid, and he has already gained 3 places over the course of 1 lap. 45 minutes, the length of the race this evening. And you can see that he's under a lot of pressure. Malvinderjit Singh, who is no slouch behind the wheel, believe me, under a lot of pressure there from Ilham Hlabi. But Ilham manages to find his way through there, and Ilham is now up into the top 10 placings. Next target, Jazrin Jali for him. Meanwhile, Jazrin is catching up Afik Fadlan at a fair rate of knots. It's less than 0.2 of a second going through the curves to the S's there. Now through Dunlop Curve, will Jazrin try something going into Degna? It's going to be very challenging to try and do something through here. Looks like Jazrin decides not to go for it through Degna. Now going underneath the bridge where the track crosses over itself, a unique figure of 8 layout here at Suzuka Circuit, one of the few tracks on the international calendar that does do that. In fact, the only track on the F1 calendar that does that. But meanwhile, Jazrin is really pushing that car as hard as it'll go. Saiful Arifin, meanwhile, he's up in 4th place, and he's trying to catch back up with Tuku Ershad, who's up in 3rd place. Tuku Ershad trying to do everything he possibly can to keep himself up in that podium position, but Saiful Arifin putting a lot of pressure on Tuku Ershad. They're coming up into the 130R section there. It's going to be very challenging to see if they can close up the gap here, but it looks like Saiful's car is just a little bit more stable through the high-speed sections here. Under the brakes, just about catching up with Tuku Ershad. Is probably going to be a game of tenths from now on. Every single 10th of a second is going to matter in this battle. It's really looking to be a very tense one indeed, but we might see a position change here in the next 2 laps or so. Now coming into turn 1, let's see what they do under brakes. Saiful Arifin getting a little bit of different line in comparison to Tuku Ershad there. That means Tuku Ershad has to slow down quite a bit in comparison. Meanwhile, let's see, Ilham Hlabi is still chasing down Jazrin Jali, but it looks like Afik Fadlan has managed to put away Fred Ting up there. So Afik's moved up 1 position. Let's see if Jazrin Jali can handle Fred Ting as well. Fred Ting from Brunei, very experienced, very quick GT3 racer in iRacing. So he's not an easy man to pass, but it looks like Jasmine Jelly might be able to try and do something through here. He's having a look around the outside there. Will he try something through Degner? Decides not to through Degner 1. And at this point, ooh, very close indeed through Degner 2. You can see that the BMW has quite a bit more apex speed in comparison to the Mercedes. But it looks like the Mercedes has quite a lot of turning ability as well. So it's going to be very, very difficult to try and balance these cars out. But they're right next to each other, and it looks like Justin Jelly is going to try and go around the outside of this corner here, coming into Spoon Curve, setting up a pass on the inside. Will he be able to do it? Very close on the brakes, but he's unable to get the pass done. Now there's another straight up ahead. Will he try and do something through 130R? Coming onto the back street there, underneath the Panasonic banner. Let's see if Jasrin can pick up a draft. It looks like he's close enough to pick up a draft. Going through there. Let's see him go through 130R. They are both neck and neck coming through there. And it looks like Fred Ting goes a little bit wide, so they're going to go side by side coming into the Casio Triangle, and around the outside goes Jasrin Jali going up into 8th place. Spectacular stuff there from JJ, as he's known to his friends, and now he's going to chase after Afik Fadlan right up ahead. Meanwhile, we have a change for the lead. Aguri Young has overtaken Andy So for the lead of the race. The BMW has the better of the Mercedes in this particular battle there, but Andy So is a very quick driver indeed, especially around Suzuka, so this is going to be very challenging for Aguri Young to try and keep that position. It's all about how they're going to play this out over the next few laps. It's a 45-minute race, so it's not the quickest of sprints, but they do have to balance things like tire wear and fuel consumption as well. You can use too much fuel here. iRacing very accurate with its tire degradation and its fuel consumption, so you do have to watch out for that as well. Andy So deep dive under braking there. Meanwhile, Safa Arifin is also mirroring what's happening up front, battling the two German marks here. This time are Safa Arifin's Audi and Tuku Ershad's Mercedes out there in 3rd and 4th position. They're battling for the final spot on the grid there. And it looks like Omar Aziz might be catching up as well behind. This might be a 3-way battle for 3rd place. This could get very interesting indeed. But it looks like Tuku Ershad will be doing everything he possibly can to try and hold up the cars behind him. Powering through the back straight there, coming into 130R. They have to be very careful tipping the car in through here, but you have to carry as much speed as possible to try and close the gap with the car up ahead if you're trying to make an overtaking maneuver happen at Casio Triangle, which is this corner right here. Now coming down the start-finish straight, will there be enough drafting between these three cars? There's half a second between Ershad and Seifel. Let's see if he can get that gap down. Coming into turn 1 there. Looks like Seifel's taking a very different line in comparison to Tuku Ershad, and that could be the reason why Seifel is able to really close up the gap between himself and Ershad. Meanwhile, Shami Aizan is battling with Calvin Ha down the straight there. Let's see if he can make an overtaking maneuver work. They're going to go side by side. This is a battle for 13th position. Shami Aizan just about manages to squeeze through coming into turn 1. A classic slipstream overtaking maneuver into turn 1 there. That's sort of the classic textbook way to overtake here at Suzuka. The biggest opportunity is going to be at turn 1. There's also a very, very good opportunity to overtake at Spoon Curve and into the Casio Triangle there. So a very raceable track, even though it is very narrow. Especially in spots like this, it's quite surprising how narrow this track is, considering it is a Grand Prix circuit, but one that is beloved by racers all around the world. It quite often comes up as the favourite track of many a Formula 1 driver, including Eddie Irvine, Ralf Schumacher, and I believe Barrichello as well. But quite a lot of drivers love this track, and you can see why. The undulations, the high-speed nature of it really, really lends itself well. It's a classic track of the European tradition, except it's in the Far East, and it has this surreal sort of virtual reality feeling through it. It's fantastic. Going underneath the Amazon bridge there. Ilham Halabi is slowly catching up there to Fred Ting up ahead there. And Afif Fadlan just a little bit further ahead still. Let's see if he's able to do anything through there. It looks like Fred Ting has quite a bit of pace in that car. Ilham has not been able to overtake him just yet, but he's trying his hardest through here. There is a draft. There's a lot of slipstream effect now coming into play, going down the main straight there. Fred Ting trying to slow down. Ilham there going through the final quarter there. Ilham in response unable to get alongside Fred Ting there, and that keeps Fred Ting in 9th place. Ilham Halabi is still down there in 10th, really fighting hard in order to try and get past. Meanwhile, Fred is going to be trying to push Afif Fadlan into a mistake, or better yet, try and get past Afif Fadlan. This three-way battle for the bottom end of the top 10 positions is really going to push this. It's really going to be an interesting fight all the way to the end. You can see that Afif on the limit with the car just at the edge of grip, sliding around just a little bit there. Hard into Degna 2. Meanwhile, let's have a look up ahead in the replay. Saiful Arifin manages to get up into the podium positions there, overtaking Tuku Ershad. Fantastic driving by both drivers there, just enough space to go side by side through the Dunlop curves there, so spectacular racing there in that replay. Meanwhile, Fred Ting is still trying to hold off Ilham Halabi whilst trying to catch Afif Fadlan. He's got the car sideways, very sideways indeed, and he's off the track. Just about manages to collect the slide and keep going, but that, unfortunately, that means Ilham Halabi has gone past him, and now Ilham is hunting down Afif Fadlan. That's a big mistake there from Fred Ting, and unfortunately that's going to have some repercussions further down the line. Meanwhile, Jasrin Jali is chasing after Javier Alvarez. This is a battle that's been brewing for quite a bit there. Oof. Javier got the car on the tires, as it were, just got the car wheel spinning a little bit, and unfortunately Jasrin just about drove into him. Not the best of ideas there, but fortunately both drivers are still going, and it looks like Jasrin will have to do it all over again to try and catch up with Javier Alvarez. But it looks like that could be very good. Interestingly enough, it looks like the quite old BMW Z4 GT3 cars are very quick around Suzuka there. They're a lot quicker than their much newer Mercedes counterparts there. So it just goes to show that these BMWs have quite a bit of staying power there. And it's definitely proving their worth. Oh, and it looks like Javier's gone off the track. Javier's gone off the track there at Dunlop corner there. That's given Jasrin Jali the position. Unfortunately, I was just taking a drink out of my water bottle. Unfortunately, just water today. No Ribena. Very sad. But it looks like Jasrin there managed to get a position due to Javier Alvarez having a big mistake there coming out of Dunlop corner. Meanwhile, Umar Aziz is right now hot on the tail of Tuku Ershad. There's another battle brewing here. You can see how much faster Umar Aziz is entering through the corner there, but he's gone too quick and he's just gone off into the inside of Spoon Curve and almost sends Jasrin off the track there. Just about manages to collect it before he collects himself into the opposite side barrier there. Fantastic car control by Umar Aziz to try and keep that car in a straight line and keep that car running. But that's very unfortunate for him. Umar Aziz has dropped another position, and now it's Jasrin Jali who will be trying to catch up with Tuku Ershad. Umar Aziz, however, can't be discounted just yet. He's going very quickly indeed in that Audi. His last lap was a 2:02, not the quickest. 2:06, sorry. Not the quickest lap time, but obviously he had that mistake at Spoon Curve. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. His best lap time in race conditions is a 2-minute 0.9 second lap. So very, very fast indeed. Meanwhile, Calvin Ha is still battling with newcomer Fami. Really pushing that car along very quickly indeed. Let's see if he can get side by side with Fami coming into turn 1 there. It's a battle of the Ferraris. Fami still manages to keep that position there. Kelvin having to back off there to give the position to Fami, but it looks like they're going to catch themselves right back up again. Going through the S's, dancing between apexes. Really having to control the speed of the cars here. You can see the different driving styles. Fami really throwing that Ferrari around, whilst Calvin Ha really trying to dance the car through there, but it looks like Fami's gone a little bit wide there, and that sent Calvin Ha going around the outside, and that's brought Shame Aizan into play. This is a three-way battle now for 13th position. Just goes to show that the racing here is very, very intense all the way through the field now. Calvin Ha has to worry about a car behind him as well as the car up ahead. This is really a big thing. Ferrari and Mercedes. It looks like Calvin Ha tries to go again, but didn't quite close up the gap enough to go for that dive up the inside of Fami. Meanwhile, Shamir is right behind him, waiting to see if he can collect another couple of places. If these two make a mistake, it's going to be very challenging indeed. Ooh, big spin there from Calvin Ha. He's got the car on the grass ever so slightly, and that's pitched the car into a very scary high-speed spin. Luckily, he manages to keep it off the barrier and on the track, but that means Shame Aizan moves up into 13th place, and now he's the man who's going to have to try and catch Fami. "16 minutes have passed in the 45-minute race, and so far, Aguri Young is still your leader. Andy So is in second place, followed by Saiful Arifin. Tiku Ershad is in 4th place right now as well. Jasmine Jali is in 5th place, followed by Umar Aziz, Ilham Halami, Javier Alvarez, Fred Ting, and Muhammad Mohaimin. Your top 10 so far. And it looks like Saiful is beginning to close up, just as Jasmine Jali is closing up right now to Tiku Ershad. Saiful Arifin is also closing up to Andy, so this could be another change for positions there. 7/10 of a second is not a lot of time there between the two drivers. Let's see if he can close the gap up. It looks like he's ever so slightly starting to catch up with Andy So there. But it looks like Jasmine Jali is also getting really close to Tiku Ershad as well. The cars, as you can see, the front engine cars struggling for traction out of the hairpin there. The mid-engine cars tend to get a better drive out of that corner, but the front engine cars tend to do a little bit better at the high-speed sections. But it looks like Jasmine's getting just ever closer to Tiku Ershad there. Just balancing the car on the throttle and the brakes, coming out to the ripple strips on the left-hand side. It's now going to be a slipstream battle. Where will Jasmine make his move? Will he make that move through 130R? It'll be absolutely spectacular if he does. He decides not to. Just about manages to make the car go through there, but he decides to cut into the inside there. Really try to make Tiku Ershad dance that car all over the track. Now they're very close there. You could just about read the logos on the back of the Mercedes right now from the BMW's vantage point now. JJ's got that slipstream. Will he be able to overtake Ershad coming into turn 1? They're very close right now. He pulls into the inside. They go side by side into turn 1, and Jasmine claims the apex. Now will Tiku Ershad be able to drive around the outside there? He's trying his hardest. They're both on the limit of grip there, but Tiku Ershad manages to keep that car ahead of Jasmine Jali around the outside of turn 1. Spectacular defensive driving there from Tiku Ershad, managing to keep his position for one more lap. Tiku Ershad there still in 3rd place, but it looks like the battle for 4th has become the battle of 1st, because Aguri Young has gone into the pits. Aguri Young has gone into the pits there, and that means Andy So is out in 1st place, and that could mean that the fuel consumption here could become critical. We might see quite a few pit stops there happening. Fami and Suing are also both into the pits. If we are expecting a fuel stop, it'll be at least around the 22-minute mark, so I'm not too sure if Aguri decided to come in early and try and do a long stop and try and undercut everyone, or is he going to go? Is he trying to get himself into some clear air there? So it's turning out to be a pit lane battle for the head of the field. Andy So now has to really put his foot down and try and drive away as much as possible. He knows that his rival has gone to the pits. He'll now be trying his hardest to push that big Mercedes around. I apologize. And yeah, he's going to try and push that big Mercedes around as hard as he can before he himself will have to inevitably come into the pits. He decides to go around for one more lap. Of course, the other question in the rear view mirror there is Saiful Arifin. He will probably come into play a little later on in the race. Very shrewd strategist Saiful Arifin is. It could be very interesting indeed. Yes, it looks like Tekuo Ershad is coming into the pits there. 20 minutes have passed in the 45-minute race. He's going to go for a long second stint. Meanwhile, Jazrin Jali is still pushing very hard out there. Umar Aziz, now this is the battle for third position. And it looks like Jazrin really is unrelenting in his climb up through the field. He has gained 9 places since the start of the race there, which is the highest so far of any driver. Really pushing the car very hard indeed. It looks like Tekuo Ershad is going to come out in 12th position, just ahead of Calvin Ha, but unfortunately behind Aguri Young. So Aguri Young, he's managed to get himself ahead of one driver right now, but meanwhile most of the front of the field right now is still battling with each other. Like I said, 22 minutes is when we normally expect to see the cars beginning to pit in, but there's quite a few early stoppers right now. And it looks like Jazrin's going to go around the inside. Just didn't quite get the traction to climb out of there. Malik there saying, a nice racing boys. Thank you very much for that nice comment, Malik. We really enjoy the racing these guys put on in and week out. They're absolutely spectacular racing right here on Adrenaline Impact. Meanwhile, let's watch Jazrin Jali as he tries to make an overtaking maneuver on Umar Aziz on the back straight there. He's going to be really careful coming into 130R. He's got to watch what's happening behind him and ahead of him as well, going through 130R. Let's see if there's anybody going to dive into the inside, coming into the braking zone. No one decides to take the bait there, but then nose to tail, this could be an epic slipstream battle down the start-finish straight here. Jazrin's definitely close enough to try something on Umar. Perhaps Ilham Hlabi is just a little bit too far behind, but he can definitely close up. They're going to go side by side down the straight there, coming into the first corner. Will Jazrin be able to go ahead? Yes, he has. He's managed to claim that position from Umar Aziz. And Jazrin Jali finally makes it 10 positions gained since the start of the race. He moves up into 3rd place, but of course he's yet to pit. So as Saiful Arifin and Umar Aziz. So this could still rage on, especially after the pit stops there. It's now 23 minutes in this 45-minute race. Let's see where these guys choose to stop. Umar Aziz has not given up just quite yet. Now coming down into Degner 1 and Degner 2. Big amount of curb there being taken by the BMW, but it can take it. That's the unique thing of the BMW. But it looks like it might have set the car just a little bit too much there. Umar Aziz pulls out, goes for a look around the outside there, but unfortunately he's given the position to Ilham Hlabi, who looks like he caught Umar napping ever so slightly there coming to the braking zone. That's the challenge when you're battling in the three-way battle. You could be trying to overtake the car up ahead, but you might accidentally let the car behind you go past. Meanwhile, Saiful Arifin is starting to get up close and personal with Andy So. This is the battle for the race lead right now. Both these drivers yet to pit, but I'm pretty sure both these drivers will be doing everything they can to try and park their car in the pits first. Saiful getting very close. Andy So there. Andy So defending on the back straight, as is his right to. And it looks like Saiful Arifin, he decides not to go for it. He's going to try and undercut Andy. So Saiful Arifin comes into the pits. Meanwhile, Andy So stays out. Meanwhile, Ilham Hlabi is in 3rd position. Right now, very close to Jazrin Jali. It's going to be a slipstream battle, I think, as to how close these guys can get. Umar Aziz has a watching brief further behind. He'll want to try and pick the pace up and retake that position that he lost to Ilham Halabi in third place. Jazrin Jali there in second, but Saiful Arifin comes out of the pits in 7th place ahead of Javier Alvarez, and as you can see there, that's Agurion. That was the original race leader, and it looks like Saiful Arifin manages to go out ahead of Agurion. This bodes very well indeed for his chances in the race, and I believe, if we can get the graphics up, that the cars ahead of Saiful Arifin have not pitted yet. Indeed, that is the case there. So, of the cars that have pitted, effectively, Saiful Arifin has managed to leapfrog Aguri Young and bring himself up into what would become first position after all the cars have taken their pit stop. So that is a critical stop and a critical move there from Saiful Arifin. He's managed to bring himself up into effectively the race lead at this point. Aguri Young is still in 2nd place. He can see where Saiful Arifin has come out in, and he will definitely know what is going to happen now. It's going to be a real battle up at the head of the field. Ilham Halabi there still battling with Jasrin Jali, and further behind Omar Aziz. We'll see what these guys will do when it comes to the pit strategy. Of course, they know that the Saiful Arifin have just come out. Ilham Halabi in the fellow 1XOX car. He will also be quite aware of what his effective teammate is. Andy So, meanwhile, he has decided to come into the pits. So Jasrin Jali will take over the lead of the race temporarily, whilst Andy So comes in for the pits. Now it's going to be an advantage if they can pit late, because that means it's a shorter pit stop. Less fuel has to go into the car. So it really is going to be interesting to see what they can do in terms of fuel economy, trying to eke out another couple of laps to save another few seconds in the pits. Jasrin, meanwhile, he brings that total up to 12 positions gained since the start of the race. There, absolutely spectacular stuff there from Jasrin Jali. He managed to hold the lead of the race. Very, very interesting indeed. Andy So, meanwhile, he comes out in 7th place as well, but unfortunately he comes out behind Aguri Young. So this means that both Saiful Arifin and Aguri Young have gone past Andy So, and that drops him down to 7th place and effectively into 3rd position. So he's lost the lead of the race through the pit stops there. That's going to be an absolute disaster in the pit, in his pit lane. And Andy's really got his work cut out for him now. He's quick. We know he can catch up to the cars up ahead, but that's really put a lot of work on Andy So's lap. Meanwhile, Ilham Halabi, he's also gained 12 positions as well. Looks like Shami Azri there saying, oops, he might get a drive-through. We'll have a look at that. Andy So there was moving around quite a bit on the back stretch there. We will see what the iRacing systems call up on that. But meanwhile, Ilham Halabi is now chasing after Jasrin Jali. These two drivers, remember, have to pit before the end of the race. It's pretty clear that these cars won't make it to the end without at least one pit stop. Now going through the Casio triangle, let's see if either driver decides to go into the pits. And it looks like both of them go in. Jasrin trying to get Ilham to stay out there, but both drivers decide to go in. And Omar Aziz also goes in as well. And Shami Azri does point out that Andy So crossed the white line at the pit exit. So that could be yet another problem there for Andy So. Not only has he come out behind what would effectively be the race winner, the race leaders, but he may have crossed that white line as well, which could bring him a penalty, drive-through penalty, which will really ruin the race for Andy. So very, very unfortunate indeed. Very talented driver there, but unfortunately just couldn't quite keep that car up ahead. Meanwhile, Saiful Arifin is in the lead of the race as the pit stops begin to shake out there. We saw Umar Aziz, Afif Fadlan, and Andy So again has to go into the pits there. So well caught, Shami Azri, for that little tidbit there. Meanwhile, Ting as well, Shami Aizan is in the pits as well. Ryan Lam is unfortunately out of the race at this moment. So now the pit stops have begun to shake themselves down, and now we have a good feeling of, now got a clear picture of what's happening in the race now that everyone has made their pit stop. Jasrin Jali is in 4th place there, but with 30 minutes past in this 45 minutes race, 15 minutes to go in the race, Saiful Arifin is now currently in 1st position, followed by Aguri Young in 2nd, Ilham Halabi in 3rd, and this man Jasrin Jali in 4th position. Omar Aziz is the best of the late stoppers in 5th place, with Fred Ting in 6th, Mohaimin in 7th place, Afi Fadlan in 8th, Javier Alvarez is in 9th place, followed by Shamir, Aizan, Calvin Ha, Malvinderjit Singh, Surin Selvaraju, Andy So, Tuku Ershad, Fahmi, Jasri, Sharil, Rajab, and Ryan Lam in 20th place, and unfortunately not running.
I wonder what happened to the Guishat. He dropped down so far there.
Yeah, that is quite a big drop there. He was fighting with the leaders at one point, but unfortunately he's right down. Is there a problem in the pits?
I think he went into the pits 3 times.
Oh wow, that's going to be a real disappointment there for Tuku Ershad. He's right down in 14th place. He's lost 19 positions, and yes, he has stopped 3 times. There must have been, he must have picked up either some damage or a penalty or something.
From my from my event viewer, I'm getting his off tracks. So many off track events from him. So maybe something wrong with his car.
He might have picked up a little bit of damage in one of the off tracks, and he's trying to fix it in the pits, or perhaps he may have picked up a penalty from all that off track excursions. So that is a real shame there for Tuku Ershad. And well, hopefully he'll be able to come back to iRacing just a little bit stronger there, but would blame him for being a little bit under the weather, shall we say, from that performance. Meanwhile, Javier Alvarez is now chasing after Afik Fadlan. And interestingly enough, for those of you who've been watching the Assetto Corsa races, we have a group of drivers that we've been testing out all the mods with. Javier is one of them. Afik is also another one of them. So these two drivers actually do race against each other quite a lot. It'll be interesting to see.
On a daily basis, I think.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen towards the end of this little battle. Chevy Asri there saying,
the top 5 positions are between Audis and BMW.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because you'd think the Mercedes would have, it's been quite dominant throughout the course of the year, but obviously there's been a little bit of BOP in play, as there always is in GT3 racing, just as it is in real life. In iRacing, these cars are BOP'd as well. But it looks like the BMWs and the Audis do have legs on the Mercedes at this track, and the Ferraris haven't been that high up the leaderboard as well. So very interesting stuff indeed. Saiful Arifin now still in the lead. Aguri Young is in 2nd place, and Young and Jasrin are both in BMW Z3s, and it's worth noting that these BMWs aren't the newest cars around the block. And these cars came out before the SLS, which was the previous generation Mercedes. So there's been 3 generations of GT3 Mercedes in the time BMW has to make one car.
It's quite dated.
Yeah, but I suppose if it still works, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And Jasrin Jali and Aguri Young, they're really proving that as well. Top 5 battle between Audi and BMW. Well caught there, Chami.
Let's go over to our Ferraris here, Melvin.
It looks like Melvin and Surin.
The battle of Ferraris here. Malaysia and Singapore.
Yep, it's a Malaysia versus Singapore Ferrari battle there. Malvinderjit Singh, very quick driver. Unfortunately, he just hasn't had the luck this time around in this particular series of GT3 races. So he's always seemed to, unfortunately, end up a little bit too far behind for his liking. So has Surin Selvaraju, who's usually a little bit higher up the leaderboard than this. Really pushing that Ferrari as hard as he can. But let's see if Malvinderjit can try and catch up to the back of Surin. It's getting very close there. It looks like Surin made a little bit of a mistake coming out of Casio Triangle, and this could be it when it comes to the position. They're battling for 13th place. Will Melvin be able to get the slipstream up on Surin? They're getting closer and closer. It looks like Melvin's braking just a little bit earlier, however, which means that Surin has gone a little bit wide. He's gone a little bit wide there coming through the second part of that first turn. And now coming through the S's there, Surin still managing to be ahead of Melvin, but it looks like there's a big mistake there from Surin. It looks like the car might have gone into a bit of terminal understeer, and that means Melvin's going to go side by side with Surin Savaraju. And they side by side still almost all the way to the end there, but Melvin manages to make that move stick by the time they get to the Dunlop corner. A spectacular bit of racing there, side by side through the S's here at Suzuka. Spectacular racing indeed. Brilliant stuff there. We just about joined them at the right time, didn't we?
Yeah. I've been eyeing them for quite some time. I'm seeing their intervals quite still steady, and why not? Why not? What's happened to our Havanas here?
Let's see. It looks like
It's
our
a big group.
Hermanos is getting under quite a bit of pressure there from one of the Audis there. That's Sharon Norofudin, who is a lap behind, but is perhaps just being a little bit cheeky and putting a bit of pressure on Javier Alvarez. But meanwhile, he is quite close to Afik Fadlan, so this could, like I said earlier on, these two drivers know each other very well, and this could turn out to be a nice little battle up ahead. So 36 minutes have passed. It's about 9 minutes to go in the race. Saifur Arifin still in the lead of the race. 3 seconds separate Saifur Arifin and Aguri Young. You can see the gap that's opened up. It looks like Saifur Arifin might be in a position, fingers crossed, knock on wood, he could be in a position to win this race if he plays his card right. But now he's going to come across traffic. Now this is the challenge. The hardest part for any driver leading a race this late into the proceedings. It can get very hard to get past some of these drivers, especially if it's someone like Jasri Junos, who's actually very quick, but through fair means of foul, they've ended up at the back of the field there, and this is going to be very challenging to try and lap the cars up ahead. So Saifur Arifin is up in first place, and you can see he had a 3-second lead coming into this lap, but now it's down to 1.9 seconds, and that's just because he's being held up by that man up ahead in the rough. And that just goes to show how difficult it is for drivers to deal with back markers, especially relatively quick back markers as well. So Saifur Arifin, however, he's still in the lead. Aguri Young is in second place. Ilham Hlabi is in third place. So that's Audi, BMW, Audi, Malaysian, Hong Kong, and Malaysian as well. Jazrin Jali is in fourth place. Omar Aziz in fifth. Fred Ting from Brunei is in sixth place. Mohammed Muhammad is in seventh. Afik Fadlan in eighth. Javier Alvarez, our Hermanos from Spain, is in ninth place, followed by Shami Aizan in 10th. And behind them, Calvin Ha, Tuku Ershad, Mavinderjit Singh, Surin Savaraju, Jasri Junos, Shawar Rajab, Sharia Norifudin, Fahmi, Andy So, and Ryan Lam. Unfortunately, those two drivers out of the race. And it's been interesting to see Aguri Young really push these guys hard, and he's sort of been out of the spotlight just a little bit over the course of the couple of the seasons through the SRE and SRE AIMC seasons there. He's just been a little bit out of the limelight, but it looks like this could be the race where he can really shine and really come into his own. It's a battle between Saifur Arifin and Aguri Young right now. Ilham Hlabi is also getting very close to the back of Aguri Young. This could be a battle for second place if Aguri is not careful. It looks like Saifur Arifin is almost like he's not willing to get past the back marker up ahead. Perhaps he could be using Jasri Junos, who, remember, is a relatively quick driver himself. He could be using the slipstream of the car up ahead to try and save some fuel. That could be a very interesting tactic to see through here, but he's got to balance that with the time loss he has to Agurion. It looks like Ilham Thlabi is also catching up to Agurion and Jasrin Jali as well. This could be a very big battle for second place developing through here. It's just over 5 minutes to go, 2 more laps. We'll see this race end up at lap 22, perhaps lap 23 at the most. Now it's 5 minutes to go, so it'll be a 22 lap race.
Whoa.
And oh, there's contact there between Ilham Thlabi and Aguri Young. That's a big spin there from Aguri. And it looks like that's going to be really bad for Aguri's chances of getting into the podium positions. But now Ilham Thlabi has now gone up into second place. The two Audis now first and second. Jasrin Jali is in third place, and Aguri Young unfortunately has dropped down all the way to fourth. But Jasrin Jali is no slouch. He's going to be pushing that BMW as hard as it'll go. Let's see if the BMW can do anything about the cars up ahead.
Let's just rewind back what happened.
Let's have a quick look at the instant replay as we come out of Degner Curve there. Aguri Young up ahead there, trying to defend from Ilham Thlabi. They go side by side through the kink there, and unfortunately it looks like 2 into 1 didn't quite go there. Both drivers trying to keep their line, trying to stay their line through the corner there, but unfortunately they've just had that contact there, and that has sent Aguri Young into fourth place. Very sad indeed for him, but he is still within contact, so if there's any trouble with the top 3, he's still there to try and pick up the pieces when it comes to the end of the race. We started lap 21. Looks like we could actually have a 23 lap race after all. But meanwhile, Saiful Arifin, Ilham Thlabi is really closed up, but so has Jasrin Jali. So Saiful Arifin, he's probably perhaps used all of that slipstream from Jasri Junos. He's going to have to try and look for a way past. Now remember, Jasri is a back marker, so he shouldn't defend if Saiful Arifin decides to go for an overtaking maneuver here. Ooh, just about getting, you can see Saiful is getting just a little bit impatient perhaps. Jasri decides to keep it on the outside there, it looks like. Yes, he decides to let him pass, trying to make sure that he is out of the way of everyone. Very tricky indeed when you're a back marker and you're trying to let the leading cars pass. It could be very tricky there, and unfortunately it looks like Jasrin's got caught up behind that back marker as well. Again, very difficult not only for the cars trying to pass, but also for the cars being passed when it comes to being lapped. You have to be very careful indeed. There are rules and regulations concerning the blue flag and what you're supposed to do there. But meanwhile, it's Saiful Arifin in first place, Ilham Thlabi in second place, and Jasrin Jali in third, with Aguri Young in fourth place, Umar Aziz in fifth, Fred Ting in sixth, Mohamed in seventh, Afik in eighth, Alvarez in ninth, and Shami Aizan in 10th place.
Wow, what a top 5.
Oh yeah.
Shaken up and stirred. With one lap to go, I think.
Yep, it's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. There's one more lap to come. And of course, Saiful Arifin and Ilham Thlabi, they may be teammates, but they're definitely going to be racing each other very hard indeed. I can assure you of that. Ilham Thlabi is not a man that will sit there and just roll with it. Saiful Arifin is also not a man that's just going to rest on his laurels. These two drivers are going to be pushing as hard as they can to finish the race. Meanwhile, Jasrin Jali and Aguri Young a little bit too far behind perhaps to do anything about the battle for the lead here between the two Audis. But as they go through the top corner there and around the bend here, coming down into the braking zone, very tricky stuff indeed here. Now hard on the brakes through the bottom corner, underneath the bridge, into the hairpin for the final time. Let's see what happened to Omar Aziz in the replay. Coming into Spoon Curve there, and again, very difficult. Again, exactly the same as Calvin Haas incident. You get one tyre on the grass partially, and that spins the car right around. Just as sure as pulling the handbrake does. But now let's see the two Audis go through this very same corner, spoon curve. It looks like Ilham's gone a little bit wide there. That's going to affect his run out of spoon corner. Very wide indeed, but just about managing to keep the car in a straight line there. Let's see if he can do anything to try and challenge Saiful Arifin coming into 130R for the final time through this legendary high-speed corner. Now into the Casio triangle for the final time there, at the last possible outbraking opportunity, and it looks like he's gone wide. They've gone wide and they touch. They're side by side coming out of the corner there. That was a big mistake from Saiful Arifin, and at the final corner, Ilham Hlabi's managed to make that overtaking maneuver work, and he goes past. Ilham Hlabi wins the race from Saiful Arifin, and Jazrin Jali is in 3rd position. That was absolutely amazing. Saiful Arifin lost it at the final corner, letting Ilham Hlabi to go past. This is absolutely spectacular stuff. Wow, I did not see that coming, did you?
Yeah, I would just assume they'll go maintain position there.
Well, as it turns out, it didn't quite work that way. Shemi Azri there, Suzuka would be a good choice for AIMC. Yes, we do agree actually. It's a very, very good track, and do stay tuned because we might have a little bit of news when it comes to more Suzuka circuit races. We find it to be a very, very entertaining track indeed. But hopefully you guys will stick around while we see that. Saiful there just did a Leclerc. That's Azri Shazli Banuri.
Yeah.
I do apologise if I I mispronounced that. But yes, we'd have to agree. Saiful did just do a Leclerc, and it must be gutting for Saiful Arifin to lose the race at the final corner there. But Ilham Hlabi must be in absolute shock. That was, I've never seen anything like that. Meanwhile, Calvin Ha is about to cross the line and claims 11th position. Dugu Ershad managing to get back out on track. He's managed to climb all the way up to a respectable 12th position. Respectable considering how far back he's dropped. So a nice little recovery drive from him. Malvinderjit Singh is in 13th place. It'd be him and Sharel Norafuddin that will cross the line and complete the race. It looks like Sharel's having a real problem trying to get the car actually to the end of the race there. The Hello Kitty Audi, which is he's decided to back off there. I think he's fairly sure he is the last man on the track who will yet to finish, but he's pretty solid there in 17th place. Nice livery though, that Hello Kitty Audi. So as the Japanese say, kawaii.
Kawaii. Yes. Since they're in Japan.
Well, yeah.
Why not?
Very apt indeed.
We're still waiting for. Oh, nice. This is nice parade of them.
Awesome stuff.
Very sportsmanship.
Yes, indeed. Fantastic running towards the line. Of course, that does mean that I believe Shawwal has to finish the Hello Kitty Audi has to finish the race before the results come out.
He has to finish.
Yeah, Sharel Norafuddin.
So
we will do bear with us for a moment. The automatic results will not come out until we finish. Oh, there we go. We managed to find the button that does it manually. So that is the race there, the Adrenaline Impact GT3 Series from Suzuka. And this is the race results. Ilham Hlabi, the winner of the race. A very spectacular end of the race there. He wins the race by 0.162 seconds from Saiful Arifin, who was leading for the majority of that last stint. Unfortunately, just lost at the final corner there. Jazrin Jali is in 3rd position for the first BMW up there. Aguri Yong is in 4th place, also in the BMW. Very, very dramatic final few laps of the race. Omar Aziz is in 5th place, followed by Fred Ting of Brunei. Aguri Yong being the Hong Kong driver that is in the top 5 there. Fred Ting is in 6th for Brunei. Mohamed Mohamed in 7th place, followed by Afik Fadlan, or token Spaniard, so say. Javier Alvarez is in 9th place. Tami Aizan is in 10th, followed by Calvin Ha, Teku Ershad, Mavinderjit Singh, Jasri Jonas, Surin Selvaraju, Shawar Rajab, Sharil Norafuddin and Izudi Fahmi in 18th place. Doing a very good job to finish his first race here at Adrenaline Impact. We hope to see him grow with the series along the way. Spectacular stuff. They're beautiful shots of the guys coming in formation as they go across the line there. Really great stuff indeed.
Okay, Matt, this has been a spectacular race. So, yeah, for those fans of AIMC, will keep your shows together. We're gonna get something in the works soon. Might it be an IMC format or maybe another format? We'll announce it when we get confirmation. But for now, we'll just enjoy our GT3 series and maybe we're gonna go back for Formula AI soon. Yeah, Matt?
Yeah. So do stay tuned for any news from upcoming events on Adrenaline Impact. We'll have some news on Monday when it comes to the week's races. We managed to get our schedule up and running, so this could be some very exciting stuff. So do stay tuned to Adrenaline Impact for more information, and we'll be having races all throughout the week for next week. Some spectacular stuff. I can't wait for the next installment of the Legends races on Santa Corsa, as well as the next Super Street race.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting
For
stuff.
those,
And
for those who are eager to join and have are active or just you have AC installed, you can join us for our races by joining our Discord that's more focused on AC, which is Tada Kerja's Discord. Just look up to our newsfeed. There are loads of streams where you can just click on the link there and join us.
absolutely, we'll look forward to seeing you in our future events.
Okay, man, just let's wrap this up. I don't think we have any podiums in the podium winners in the.
They've all decided to run away. I wouldn't.
Maybe
I wouldn't be surprised if Cypher or Irfin have decided to have an early night's sleep. Absolutely gutted stuff, isn't it? But congratulations to Ilham Labi, and special thanks to Karol Alam in the studio for bringing us these pretty pictures, and to all the SRE drivers, and also to some of the guys from SRA who've managed to come over. Very special thank you to them as well. We hope to see you in more Adrenaline Impact races as the year comes towards a close. But for now, that's it from me, Matt Palmer. We will see you all in the next broadcast. Ta-ra!
Hi, I'm Matt from Interformula, and welcome to our Research and Development Centre. We do all forms of research and development, all the way from designing and developing our own race cars, to simulators, to running cars in racing series and rallying all over the world. We also do a lot in the Asian Classic Car Championship, so do look out for us. For any information, do contact us with the number down below.